So, my tester is set up and plugged in, and I've got my test leads plugged in, and I've got my switch off, and the switch here all the way to the right on W for watts. Now, if I come over here, C is a wire with a staple through it. So it's got a nasty ground fault. I'll show you the crybaby on that. Sorry, the loudmouth. Get my own terminology mixed up. So understanding that this is an open circuit, so it's going to show a fault as an open. I'm actually shorting the white and the black together. So the loudmouth is strictly checking for a ground fault. Nasty ground fault because I put a staple through the wire. So where is that ground fault? Well, black to the shield, red to the core, and trying to get this out of the way. So I've got a good inch of clearance between my high voltage electrodes and anything else. Between my high voltage electrodes and anything else. Now I get my infrared ready. I survey the area to see if there are any heat signatures there already. The warmth that I left there with my hand earlier is almost completely faded, just a little bit of a broad smudge. So we come over to the spark tester and we turn it on. And then we push the button. Now you can see there's already power running through it. Once you turn it on, it puts 12 volts down these leads. So it's already running 12 volts through that ground fault, through that staple. And the 12 volts doesn't really produce enough power to show us much of anything. I got something over there, but that's just reflected light off the ceiling lights. So let's try hitting it with a spark. Okay, so because the staple is such a strong ground fault, it can't create a spark. No hot spark, because there's no gap to spark across. It's a really thoroughly completed circuit with that staple. So we go to the short blaster. So let me tell you what we're seeing here. If I push this, that needle barely, it doesn't jump on the voltage mode. I want to be seeing it go up and show voltage to indicate that it's bridging a spark. It's generating a voltage to bridge a gap. And since it doesn't, then it's not generating a spark and bridging a gap. It's just running a current with its 12 volts. So I can come over here to watts, and I can see that I'm pulling somewhere between 1 and 3 watts. Now the short blaster, look at this light. The short blaster runs 2 amps down it. And that light glows a little bit, and then when it gets full bright, it means the circuit is basically tripped. It's got a circuit breaker built in, and then it resets itself. So that's going to actually run, ooh, wake up. That's going to actually run some current down that wire so that it can show up. So let's try this a little more. Okay. Basically, we're going to run So it'll take that 2 amps in no time at all. Alright, I'm not really seeing anything here. So we're not really getting much of a response. Why not? Because I can't create a hot spark, and because this device can really only run about 2 amps, which is a pretty healthy amount of current. And 2 amps through that ground fault isn't heating the wire up enough to see it. So I need to switch to a variac or something that can run low voltage but more than 2 amps. Or I just need to keep hitting this thing. See, it runs to 2 amps, and when that light reaches full bright, it basically means it's stopped delivering the current. Because it's got a handy, it's got a self-resetting circuit breaker. So it runs to 2 amps until the circuit breaker kind of overheats and trips, and then it cools itself off and you can hit it again. So you can hit this every few seconds. But it does need time to cool off, otherwise you're going to burn out some other part of the circuit. Am I seeing anything with my thermal? Not. Yeah, it's self-adjusting there, but it's one big slab, all the same temperature. It's not really seeing anything. There's something down in the corner there. That's the reflection of a shop light. You can tell a reflection if you change direction, and it changes. I changed to look at it from a different direction. That source isn't there anymore. See, right there. Now if I can back up a little bit, I get that reflection off of the camera. So we'll try short blasting a couple more times. Alright, I'm going to pause this and we'll check.